Fight Mike here. Today we're going to be recapping UFC 324 that took place yesterday where Justin Gaethje got a massive win over Paddy Pimblett. It was also the first card of the Paramount era. There were some really good fights on the card, some stinkers as well that we're going to go through today. But let's start off with Adam Fugitt versus Ty Miller. I knew Ty Miller was going to be able to get it done. I thought he was going to get a first round KO, and that he did. He was looking much sharper than Adam Fugitt early. The straight right was just landing at will. And the thing is with Adam Fugitt, he's got very good kicks at range, and he works like some good clinch work as well. He knees the body really well. But he just crashes into range chin first, and that straight right hand of Ty Miller, because Adam Fugitt doesn't take his head off center line ever, it just was landing every time. Every time that Adam Fugitt was coming in, there was 2 or 3 shots hitting him. And even if he was working the clinch and the body kicks, and he even got a spinning elbow that cut open Ty Miller, Ty came back and he was just a much more durable, stronger, powerful fighter and was able to finish Fugitt on the follow-up with 4 minutes and 59 seconds into the round and put him away, and it was a pretty brutal finish. And Ty Miller is going to be a really good prospect in the future. We can definitely see that. Moving on, we've got Josh Hokett versus Denzel Freeman. One of the worst performances in UFC history. If you saw this fight, you know it was. It was such a terrible, awful performance from Denzel Freeman. Hokett looked very good in this fight. He was instantly on the pressure. I think he got a takedown 10 seconds in. And then after he got that takedown, he just repeatedly dragged down Freeman back to the floor. Matt returned him constantly, getting some good ground and pound off. And it just looked like Freeman did kind of just nothing after the first exchange. He was gassed out after one singular grappling exchange. And he's a guy with at least a bit of a wrestling background. Just looked terrible out there. Reminded me of Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira after the first exchange, where Michel hurts Hernandez and then after then just has nothing of offense to give Hernandez. It reminded me of that. One exchange, even then he didn't even have one exchange. He didn't land a punch. Didn't land one punch. And he was just looking terrible. He looks like he didn't want to be there after like 20 seconds into the fight. And it just got to the point where Hokett would just drag him down, land some good ground and pound shots, started like humping him at one moment. He had him on the ground. And then just at the end of the round, Hokett had been just like throwing him around so much that Freeman was so gassed out that he looked rocked. I know there was a decent uppercut that landed before that, but that uppercut wasn't enough to jelly leg Freeman as much as he was. Freeman looked terrible out there. He did not look like a UFC fighter, and at the end of the round, Hokett's just been like throwing him around, sort of like gives himself in a couple of seconds at the end of the round, gives him the middle finger, and then Freeman just like crumples into a ball at the sight of the middle finger. Like, what can you even call that TKO to? Like, genuinely, what do they call that? TKO due to middle finger? TKO due to exhaustion? Like, it was just terrible, and he literally could have made it to the next round, but he quit a second before the round ended, and he just crumples to his bum, and the ref obviously has to stop it. But it's just like, what are you doing, man? Terrible performance there. Now we'll move on to one that makes me a little bit sad. It's Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. This annoyed me so bad. Like, throughout the build-up of this fight, I was saying before, even during the breakdown, I was saying that I wanted to pick Perez so bad because he's so much sharper early, and I knew that that was going to be the case. And even my girlfriend picked Alex Perez. Like, we have like a little competition where she's picking like some of the fights and comes up against me. At 321, she picked every single one of them right, which annoyed me. But this one, it was like, Perez, man, why do you choose to show up against my boy Charles Johnson? And if you saw my prediction video, you saw me say, I'm worried about Charles Johnson. Perez starts very fast and he might be able to put some damage on him early. Because Johnson just has a thing where he just doesn't lock in at the start of the fight. If you see the Ramzan Temirov fight, he's getting bounced around the octagon for the first minute, or for the first round. Even the Lona Kavanaugh, first round, he's just beating up Charles Johnson, hits him in the eye at points, and really hurts him in moments. And then if you're looking at who's another one that's hurt him really badly in the first round, there's many other performances. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but Charles Johnson does this so often, where he just gets pinged around the octagon for the first round, and then he just can't make it back. Even the Joshua Van fight, Joshua Van looked really good in that first round, and Charles Johnson just doesn't do enough early. He got caught over the top of one of his shots in the first exchange or two, and then he just never recovered after that. Perez was able to put him down every single moment after that, and he was so rocked that he just never recovered. I do think, though, they could have let it keep going for a little bit. I know that it was a bad look. He was stumbling around the place. He went for a takedown against Alex Perez as Perez was running away celebrating. But Johnson gets put down with a left hook after being, really brutally rocked. And just doesn't recover quick enough. And it's really sad because Johnson, he's a professional. He doesn't miss weight. He shows up 4 times a year. And he looks really good in most of his fights. But then he just has one of these performances where he's not locked in early. And Perez is coming in here missing weight every fight. Missing weight every time. He comes in, I don't care if I'm 2.5 pounds overweight. Doesn't matter. I'll knock him out anyway. Doesn't matter. I'll get submitted in the first round or knock him out in the first round. It's the Perez lifestyle. He comes in fat and overweight and out of shape every time, misses weight almost every time, needs to move up to bantamweight, and it just annoys me, man. It annoys me. Charles Johnson puts in all this good work, and this fat retard, didn't mean to say fat retard, but this fat Perez comes in there every time he misses weight like an unprofessional douche. Every time. Charles Johnson comes in professional. Oh, bad luck. You came in professional? Oh, you're getting smoked out cold in 3 minutes. Perez comes in super inactive, loses his last fight by fluke from Asu Almabayev. Luke misses weight many fights. Almost in a row, he misses weight most fights. I think he's probably missed weight the more fights he's made weight. And Perez just pulls out of all of his fights as well. But no, the dog Charles Johnson got to get it flattened by Perez. No, I know I'm so salty about it, and it's unreasonable. But it just annoys me, bro. Misses weight 2.5 pounds. You'll get it next time. Don't worry. You'll still move up in the rankings. You'll keep your spot. Don't worry. You'll get Steve Erceg next. It just annoys me, man. Charles Johnson deserves it, bro. You know he does. Nikita Krylov, though, versus Modestas Bukauskas. Another one that frustrated me. I'm happy for Krylov that he got it done, though, to be honest. It was a bad fight between the two of them. All 3 rounds, both guys were just awkwardly charging in at range, and Modestas was just losing those exchanges in the pocket, and he never found the shot, and he just couldn't string together 3-punch combinations. And that's what he needed to be able to get it over Nikita Krylov, because he has the defensive grappling. He showed it throughout the fight, that he's got good enough defensive grappling, but just never pushed the pace hard enough to find a shot. And Nikita, throughout the fight, he was landing some good body kicks. He was landing same side. He would throw the body kick, and then he would throw the right hand afterwards, or he would sprint in with that patented right hand that got him slept out cold twice in a row. And Modestas, he's good moving forward, but he's a terrible counterpuncher. And that is the way that it goes. He doesn't really have 3-punch, 4-punch combinations either, and he kind of just wings for the fences, whereas the guys that did knock out Nikita Krylov, they were counterpunchers. Dominic Reyes has a really slick pullback right hand. And the thing is that Modestas doesn't have that. Guskov, he loads up on hooks as you enter the pocket and he chins Nikita Krylov out cold. That's not Modestas. He comes forward, he lands a 1-2 and it can shut you off, or he outpaces you. And Nikita's really crafty. He's got good grappling. He can work his way through a fight like that. And he was able to outpoint Modestas. And I think Modestas knew it was 2-0 down at that point in the last 30 seconds. And he goes to press the action and Nikita just sleeps him. Brutally out cold in the last 3 seconds. It was a nice finish after a bad fight. And I was really impressed with Nikita that he was able to pull a win back. Moving on, we've got a Tabor Gauthier versus Andrei Pulyaev. This was a decent fight. I thought that this was going to be one-way traffic for a Tabor Gauthier. And I thought it was all over after he dropped Pulyaev 5 seconds into the round in the first round. Just because Pulyaev just doesn't move his head ever. But he worked his way back into the fight. He hurt Gaethje in moments. I think he hurt him in the first round whilst Gaethje was going for a kick. But then Gaethje was just able to drop him each round and just not even really outpoint him, but he would just out big momenting him, hitting him with the better shots. And Puliaev, he just doesn't have the skill or the technique to be able to outpoint a guy like Gaethje. He was dropping him left, right, and center, and he honestly just didn't have the defensive head movement to be able to avoid the shots of Gaethje or even the speed. Puliaev's very slow, and Gaethje is explosive and powerful, but that explosion and power isn't going to get him through the top of the middleweight division. He looked bad in this fight, and his footwork is going to be so much worse. Well, his footwork, is so much worse than some of the other guys in the middleweight division. And I think so many people put up a tough fight against him. I pick CLD to smoke him. I pick Marco Tulio to style on him over 3 rounds, to be honest. I don't think that Gaethje is all that. But now they have to give him a ranked opponent. He's on like a 5-fight KO streak. They can't just keep giving him bum opponents. So that's what it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be Gaethje versus a top 10 ranked opponent, top 15. And he's going to get slimed out cold because he's been brought up on this really easy run-up at the middleweight division. Now let's go with the headliner of the prelims. We got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. This was an awful fight. It went exactly how every single person predicted it as well. And everyone understands now why this was on the prelims. Like, anyone who was like, I was complaining about it before that it should have been on the main card. But even then, this should have been a prelim fight. You watch this fight and it looks like a prelim fight. Figgy did nothing over all 3 rounds. Let me just say that. He's feinting at range, with a menacing look on his face, never really pressing the action, moving backwards perpetually, and Umar just doesn't press advantages ever in fights. He's dominating you on the ground like he is to Mario Bautista. You better believe he's not separating and throwing some heavy ground and pound. He's going to pitter-patter you, holding the position. Oh, Figgy's looking like a victim on the feet. Yeah, Umar's going to stand there and flick kicks with with his toes against Figueiredo's face and barely throw punches, even though every one he throws lands. Umar just fights like that. He fights like he's going to outpoint you, outsmudge you to a decision. He fights like he's not trying to hurt you. He fights like he's not trying to get hurt. And he fights like he's not trying to gas out. So it was just an awful, terrible fight to watch. Really was. Honestly, it should have been Figgy versus Song Yadong and Umar versus Sean, because this was a pathetic fight. I'm not gonna put it any other way, because Figgy's still very technical. Don't get me wrong. Like, his defensive grappling and even his takedown defense, it actually looked better than ever in this fight. He looked slick in the grappling, and although he wasn't able to get back up off bottom because Umar never really creates space, and he's happy to just hold you down and pitter-patter you with the top of his knuckle. Like, he's very happy to do so. And Deiveson just won't be able to get back up from those positions. But his technical defensive grappling looked good. He was able to use the guillotine to create space when he was defending takedowns. He was able to separate from the clinch. He did a really good job defending the takedowns. But Figgy used to be like an explosive, powerful, fast counter-striker. But now that he's older and he's slower and he's missing weight nowadays, he's just lost all of that ability, and he's become a one-shot-at-a-time type of guy. Like, he always was a one-shot-at-a-time type guy, but it was always on the counter. And against a guy like Umar, who doesn't throw anything for you to counter, or he's just pitter-pattering you at range with these really weak question mark kicks that hit Figueiredo 5-6 times throughout the fight. You tell someone that they get hit 5-6 times with a head kick in a fight, and you think that they're unconscious. With Umar, it's just like a jab. Figgy never got rocked by him. And the thing is that you need someone who's punching Figgy for him to slip his head off the center line, throw the right hand over the top, shoot him down, make him really pay for it. And Umar's never going to be that type of guy. And it was just a terrible, awful performance from both guys. Figgy just doesn't have the skill anymore to be able to get it done over Umar. He doesn't have the speed and the striking to hurt Umar either. And that guillotine is never going to land on one of these guys with a neck beard. So for Umar as well, press your advantage. You've got a victim in front of you not throwing back, never landing anything, never going for his own takedowns. And Umar's just standing there fainting at range, throwing a front kick to the body and like a question mark kick over the top that looks really flashy. But when it actually lands, it landed like 3 times flush on Figgy's face. It's just like hit hard. Throw something that's meant to hurt your opponent. Honestly. And to be honest, he ain't going to get rewarded for that. He's going to have to fight another time. And rightfully so. If you put Song Yadong in front of that version of Figgy, you put Sean O'Malley in front of that version of Figgy, they finish him. I'm confident of that as well. Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong had terrible performances. They both finished that version of Figgy. At least. At least Song Yadong is throwing heat in every shot. At least Sean O'Malley's got some step back right hand pull counters to throw on Figgy when Figgy's charging forward head first with his right hand flying. Like, anyone smokes him, but Umar just does negative amounts of damage. This is the reason why he was able to get past a guy like Corey Sandhagen is because Sandhagen also does no damage. And even then, in a rematch, I could actually see Sandhagen beating Umar. Umar's really underwhelming me. I was expecting him to finish Mario Bautista. I see he doesn't finish Mario Bautista just because of how disappointing the Patchy Mix fight was for Mario. He should be finishing Patchy Mix. But we see that fight, and then I think, alright, so maybe Umar's not as good as I once thought. He's going to decision Davison, but it's going to at least be a little bit more impressive, I think. Even though I did guess he was going to smudge him for a lot of the fight, which he did. But prove me wrong. Get a Kimura. Do something. It was just such a terrible fight. And for a guy who's going to be asking for a title shot, same thing with Sean O'Malley. I'll get to you soon. But for guys asking for title shots, terrible performances, pathetic performances. When you got Figgy on the ground and there's 30 seconds left, separate and throw elbows. Don't keep yourself within 10 centimeters away from him and just it looks terrible, man. You're doing nothing. We all can see you're doing nothing. But we'll move on. We'll move on to a good fight finally. Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. I went with Gene Silva to get this one done, and I thought he was going to be able to knock out Arnold Allen. But Arnold had a good performance, and honestly, I'm sad because Arnold could got this one done. He really could have. I thought he could have pressed advantages at different points in the fight, and maybe he was just too gassed out to be able to do that. Maybe the time off deals to that. Maybe he's a little bit more heavier as well. I think he is a bit bigger nowadays, so I don't think the cardio is as good as it used to be. But there were moments that if he pressed the pace, he would have won a decision here. He looked very good. He looked fast as usual, Arnold Allen. I think where he messed up was too much movement on the outside. Way too much movement. It started to gas his legs out, and he was moving out of the way of Gene Silva's shots a lot slower. And although Gene Silva started slow, he was able to break down Arnold over time because Arnold was doing so much. I think Arnold should have known that he was going to come in there with a much more relaxed game plan. He wasn't going to rush against Arnold Allen, at least not early in the fight. And I think Arnold really needed to put some mustard on Gene early, throwing lots of kicks. He should have put a little bit less emphasis on the movement on the outside, but a lot more emphasis on the boxing because he was able to start earlier than Gene Silva. Gene Silva kind of takes a little second to load in and see your timing and your movement. And that's consistent among all Gene Silva fights. He never just starts and he's landing straight away. That doesn't happen with Gene. And Arnold's such a fast starter. Well, not a fast starter, but he's got such fast hands, such fast kicks that if he had started so super fast against Gene Silva, he probably would have had a good chance at winning that fight. Because early on, I think that's when you can put damage on Gene Silva. We saw Diego Lopez was able to do that against him. And we've seen in the Bryce Mitchell fight where Bryce made it hard in the first round. Or we saw it with Charles Jourdain, who was making look pretty good in the first round. He was getting some good takedowns early on. These guys, they don't realize with Gene Silva, he doesn't switch on until like second or third round. And even then, once he switches on, he goes a little bit wild. So Allen should have started way faster. He should have put some more mustard on Gene to hopefully open up a card or have some swelling around the eye, make something pop up, make Gene Silva doubt himself. But it was so close of a round, and Gene Silva at the end of it just like tried to beat him up, like going like with like a massive flurry at the end. I still think Arnold won that round, but tried to win it with just a flurry at the end. But let's say if Arnold had put some damage on him, he probably doesn't even go for that flurry. And then the next round, Arnold can start again. Because second round, Arnold starts well. He goes a little bit better. He's a little bit tired as well. And I think that Arnold was just like... I don't know what it was, to be honest, in the second and third rounds there with Arnold. I think Arnold, he was, for one, a little bit tired. All of that outside footwork in the first round didn't bode well for him not being tired. And I also just think that he was a bit hesitant having spent so much time outside of the octagon because his defense looked really good. You remember there was like a really big and winding up uppercut that Gene Silva kept going to and then going for, I think it was a left hook and then an uppercut after it, or like a lead hook and then an uppercut. Every time Arnold Allen was able to defend that and get away from it. Arnold wasn't getting hit as cleanly as Diego Lopes even was in Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. I just think that the firepower and the massive size and the pressure of Gene Silva eventually worked on Allen. I think Allen needed more range building techniques. He needed more teeps to the body kicks, leg kicks. He needed more investment shots on Gene Silva. Gene Silva's tough as nails and he's going to be hard to finish. So... and he needed to deter Gene Silva in some way. And Gene, he looked good, but this was actually Arnold's fight to win. I thought in the third round he was going wild. He was going for takedown attempts, going for spinning elbows constantly in that third round. Like, there's moments where I'm not really seeing any improvement from Gene Silva. And maybe it's Gene Silva, like, that's just how he fights. He's going to be... maybe he can keep himself composed for the start, and maybe he's not going to go for all the handshakes. Good on Arnold for knocking him away as well. But maybe without the handshakes, he doesn't get started as quickly, and then he just starts going crazy late in any fights. Maybe that's just the case with Gene Silva, and I could see that. But he got it done over Arnold, and it's a big shame. I thought Arnold looked good out there, and I thought he could have won that one, but... Gene Silva did some more farming at the end, stood on Arnold Allen's back quite impressively. Don't know how he pulled that off, but Gene Silva, it was a good performance from him, and I think he's going to be a great prospect for the future as long as he can sort out his, like, go crazy moments. Moving on, though, we've got Rose Namajunas versus Natalia Silva. I went with Natalia Silva to get it done by 29-28, and honestly, there's nothing to talk about for this one. It was a very close fight. Rose could have won the fight, but it was like watching paint dry. No one can call robbery in this fight. Unless you're the one who watched it, then I feel like I was robbed of my time. It was a terrible fight. It was just watching point karate with a couple of takedown attempts. And Natalia Silva, she makes more noises while she's throwing strikes. She makes the hap 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 hap. And you can hear that more than Rose Namajunas throwing a couple of punches here and now. And all it comes down to is the first round. Second round, clear Rose round. Third round, clear Natalia Silva round. First round was super close, and Natalia Silva off the back foot was landing a couple extra strikes. It was a really bad fight to watch. And I wish it wasn't on the prelims even. The early prelims would have made this fight look all right. But it was just it was like I'd watched Gene Silva go crazy with Arnold Allen. And it was like I'd just recovered from seeing Umar versus Figgy where they stunk it up real bad. And I was like, okay, back to hype. I'm feeling good. This fight, it just killed all of my momentum. Killed all of it, every single little bit of it. And then I just couldn't care less about the fight. Like, it was just so boring and it was such an unenjoyable fight to watch. So, when you watch two people go out there and neither of them want to win, it's just like, what am I doing here? You don't even want to be here. That's just my thoughts. Moving on, we've got Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derrick Lewis. Pathetic D-Lew performance as well. I've been talking about it quite a lot on this card. There were a bunch of bad performances. Some really pathetic performances. And wasn't I right? I said coming into this, Derrick Lewis, always people are talking about, oh, he's in so much better shape. He's looking so much better this time. He still comes in fat and out of shape. You see all these photos of him in the weeks leading up, and you're thinking, oh my God, D. Lewis, he's in shape. He's looking jacked. And then you see him, and he's the exact same. He's just as fat as last time. Just as unfit. He's just as sweaty after 2 exchanges. What are you doing, Derrick? It was a terrible, awful, pathetic performance. Like, I'm just being real. Like, the fight starts. Derrick Lewis is throwing his jumping switch kicks to the head. He's throwing some body kicks. He lands 8 strikes throughout the whole fight. And he's just standing around at range whilst Waldo outpoints him. He's moving around on the outside. Derrick Lewis will throw like some really shocking looking overhands where he's like straight arm punching. Waldo will move out of the way. And then second round comes around. Waldo's moving away from Derrick Lewis's shots again. And then he like sways out the way of like 2 of Derrick Lewis' shots. Derrick's like dripping with sweat, keeping in mind. He's 8 from like 48 in punches. Like he's landing nothing. Dripping with sweat, looking terrible out there. And Waldo just lands like the softest right hand. Like, bro, I'm not even kidding. Like, this is my hand right here, right? This is Derrick Lewis's chin. Waldo's force against Derrick Lewis's chin was like, usually you see a heavy punch and the knockout's like, and you can see it's like going through it. Like he's punched through him. This time it was like, and it was just, I was watching it and I was like, how did you go down to that? And instantly I was saying, oh, he quit. Oh, it's Derrick Lewis, he quit. And I'm sorry, you gotta say it nowadays. Derrick Lewis has had a few of these types of fights where he's going face first or he's flopped to his back due to a tap on the chin. Like, sorry, I'm spitting everywhere. It's just a terrible performance from D. Lewis. Awful. Like, pathetic. It was actually so bad to watch. He just gets slapped by, like, the smallest shot and just gives up. He doesn't even get slapped. He just gets touched. And he just looks gassed out, so he flops to his back. And then Waldo lands ground and pound and finishes him off. It was terrible. Moving on, though, we've got Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. I went with Sean O'Malley by a decision in this one. But I was very nervous while watching it. It was a very close, bad fight. Bad performance from both guys. I thought both guys could have got an easy win here. Easy win I thought both guys could get. Early in round 1, Sean's out striking Song with the jabs. He's landing a couple of good shots here and there. Song's landing a couple of leg kicks, maybe 2 or 3 in the first round, and then gets a takedown late in the round and does some pitter-patter. But I thought that was a Sean round, just because he was landing some better shots, better jabs. Stinking round. Awful round. It was nothing to score here. Reminded me of Rose Namajunas versus Natalia Silva. It reminded me of that first round, except Song was, at least when he was throwing heat and he was missing. And Sean was running around on the outside. He was doing his double feints. He was throwing some jabs. Like, it was at least technical. Terrible round to watch, though. Round 2, Song was doing a lot more leg kicks. He was landing many big leg kicks on Sean O'Malley, which I didn't expect. But he was still missing massive in the boxing, landing nothing on the chin of Sean O'Malley. I actually only remember 1 punch landing on Sean O'Malley's chin. But then Song, he was landing some good leg kicks, and he landed a couple of 2 takedowns, I think, in the round. Definitely winning the round. Sean O'Malley did nothing in that round. I still think there is an argument to him winning that round on damage, to be honest, because Song did nothing apart from those leg kicks. And then round 3, Sean stepped on the pace. He started actually throwing his rear hand. Shocker. Who knows that once you start throwing your rear hand, you actually start hurting your opponent and putting some damage on them and throwing something that's not a jab. But he started throwing some straights to the body, straights to the face, only like 2 of them though. And he was busting up Song Yadong with the jab as well. And that was it. Like, I want to tell you that there was more stuff in the round. Song Yadong shot a takedown head first. Like, it was a nothing performance. Neither guy did anything that impressed me. And I thought that early on, Sean O'Malley, throw your rear hand. Throw a hook. That's a thought. Throw an uppercut. Didn't see one the whole fight. Throw one. Go for it. You're the striker. Oh, I got an itchy nose. Sorry. Sean O'Malley, you're the guy who's known as the striker. You want to strike? You want to throw something that's not a jab? We're not GSP. We don't have takedowns. Throw something, dog. What are you doing, man? He looks scared to engage, honestly. And maybe it's because of the amount that Song was throwing. My friend was saying that yesterday. That maybe it was the heat that Song was throwing. Maybe just that alone was enough to dissuade Sean O'Malley from throwing hard until that third round. But that's some pussy stuff. Like, Sean, do better. He should have been piecing up Song. Song was coming forward. He's got a little bit of head movement here and there. But he's so open. His hair, he doesn't have the high guard of Pyodian. He's open. Throw the shots and you'll land them. As soon as Sean O'Malley was throwing shots, all of them land. He barely missed. I think also, take this as a 5-rounder, Sean. Sean, you're not the guy you think you are. You were sleeping guys like Eddie Wineland, the ghost of Eddie Wineland as well. The Eddie Wineland that was literally coming back from the dead. You smoked that guy. Yeah, I get it. You did smoke that guy. You knocked out Aljo. Could have been an early stoppage, though. Could have. Don't know if it was. Like, have more confidence in your punches. And even then, you're not really sleeping everyone out cold. Take the 5-rounder. You got good cardio. We've seen you got good cardio. Take this as a 5-rounder. This was the sort of fight that you look really bad over 3. Over 5, you probably finish Song. That's my thoughts. I think Song has some things that he's very, very good at. Song's very technical in moments. He's very explosive. But as the later the fight goes, Song throws so much into his punches and he misses so much, especially on Sean O'Malley, that later on, he's going to be gassed out, and Sean's going to be able to land everything at will. At the end of the third round, Sean was landing every single thing he threw. He was landing at a 60% clip before that point as well. And it's like, throw the punches. They're landing, man. And it's take the 5 rounds. You need them. Trust me. This performance wouldn't look half bad if he dominated the 4th and 5th. It would be Song had a decent first round, but then Song had a decent second round, close-ish first round, but then he got dominated the last 3. And you could actually argue that to be a title shot, or at least be closer to a title shot. Like, Sean, you need 5. You genuinely need 5. Never do this to yourself again. For Song, we need more in your game here. Like, please. You throw a couple of punch combinations, you barely feint, ever. You kick to the legs, that was a new adjustment. Whereas, bring it up top. You kick in so much to the legs, bring it up top. You have to. And throw less on your shots. You're trying to take his head off with every single one. And you're missing every single one. Sean O'Malley's face looked the exact same at the start of the fight than it did at the end. Apart from it looked a little bit gassed. And then one of his legs had some red marks on them. Cool. Song, adjust, please. And the thing is that, I was talking about this in the breakdown, he's got no footwork. He follows his opponent straight on, doesn't set up any angles, doesn't cut off the cage, doesn't throw any body shots, doesn't throw any body kicks. There's nothing to funnel his opponent into his power. He just throws the power. And against a guy like Sean O'Malley, he was able to either pull back or duck under and pivot out. Real easily as well. Because all Song Yadong is doing is throwing the shots. And Sean O'Malley is able to use the angles to come on the outside, or he's able to go down, change levels, come under the massive winging overhands that Song's throwing, and then he can step off to the side, hit another angle there. What are you doing, Song? We need more from you. I picked Sean O'Malley to get it done by a decision, though, and he got it done by a decision. Moving on, we've got Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. This is a bit of a sad one for me. I really wanted Paddy to get this one done, and I thought he was going to get it done. I thought he was going to get a submission here, but Gaethje put a whooping on Paddy. I thought Paddy would wrestle a little bit more, but even then it might not have worked. Gaethje looked like his grappling has been the thing that's the only thing to improve. It was a lot less scrappy of a fight. No, it was very scrappy, but Pimblett needed a lot less scrappy of a fight. But then again, Pimblett, he showed a heart of a lion. He went toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje. A lot of people can't do that or wouldn't do that. And if we talk about the actual fight, Pimblett didn't do as bad as some people may make it seem that he did. Like, he made some critical errors and the same errors we know he always makes. But round one, Pimblett was starting pretty well. He was landing some good kicks, landing some really nice leg kicks. He was beating up Justin Gaethje's legs. He was beating them up bad. But then landing some good jabs as well. I think he rocked Gaethje before Gaethje rocked him in the first round as well. Not really badly at all. Just with like a couple of punch combination. But then landing some good kicks to the body as well. But then he got overzealous. It was like, he thought, oh, this is easy. I'm going to be able to smoke this guy. And in that first round, Gaethje just brutally knocks him down. I've got such an itchy nose. It's so annoying. Oh my god. Someone needs to tell me why this happens. Like, as soon as you start recording, this happens. But, so itchy. But Pimblett, the thing is that he looks like he was doing so well in the first, 2 minutes of the round that he thought, oh, this is my time. I'm going to be the champion of the world. And then Gaethje just knocks him down really badly, almost finishing him out cold, landing some nice ground and pound on Paddy Pimblett. But then Paddy he gets back up, he recovers, he outstrikes Gaethje for the rest of the round, point-wise. But then from there, you can see every exchange where Paddy's dangerous. Because where Paddy was doing well, he was in the center of the octagon and even pushing Gaethje back in moments. And that was where he was landing his shots early. But then as soon as Gaethje realized, oh, once I get him up against the cage and I throw these shots, he's going down either way if I land one. And the thing is, we all know it. We all know it. Paddy Pimblett rears back with his head and his chin on his silver platter every time. And we could see it in this fight as he got up against the cage. Gaethje was able to crowd him, use all the movement, and just absolutely dominate him when he would get him up against the cage. In the open, Paddy would actually land better than Gaethje. And Gaethje would be trying to slip outside of the shots, and Paddy would land the second, the third. And it would actually work really well for Paddy. He would even land knees to the head in those positions. But Gaethje he just had the better game plan because Paddy's got terrible defense on the back foot. And once Gaethje realized, oh, the second I get him up against the cage, he just knew that he was going to be able to push him there the entire fight. And every time he got in there, he was able to knock him down. Round two, Gaethje knocks him down pretty early into the round, and then Paddy works his way back into the round again. But then later on into the round, Gaethje, it was actually very late into the round, Gaethje catches him with an eye poke with his thumb. That's literally fully in his eyes. And look, I know no one online really seems to care about it. And I don't really either. I do a little bit. No, actually, that's such a lie. I definitely care. Just because the one thing is you see him take that really badly, and then he takes all of this ground and pound straight after. And you can argue, oh, maybe he knocks him down with that punch, or maybe he knocks him down with the next punch and gets it almost as much ground and pound. It's still not the same, and the only reason he got that ground and pound and dropped him in the first place was because he eye poked him. Right? We all see that as well. We all see the replay. We've noticed the eye poke. I'm crashing out when I see it because I'm a Paddy Pimblett fan and I want to see Pimblett do well. I'm crashing out. He eye poked him. And then the next round, oh, I'm so itchy. Never have an itchy nose until the second I start recording. But it's just we all see Paddy Pimblett get eye poked really badly. Why can't we take a point? Really? So in the first round, Paddy Pimblett gets eye poked, 40 seconds left in the round. Gaethje gets told, final warning, you do that one more time and it's a point taken. Wasn't even that bad of an eye poke. It was more of a outside of the eye, but brushed up against it. This one was a really awfully bad eye poke. This is a type of eye poke that I saw Paddy Pimblett's eye a second later and I was like, ooh, probably can't see that well out of that one because it's super red. The outside's all bleeding a little bit. Oh, I've got such an itchy nose. This is ridiculous. But why can't we take a point? Why does he just get to foul him, knock him down, and oh no, it's no point taken. Bad luck. Bad luck, Pimblett. Just because the ref didn't see it in the moment means that, oh yeah, you get knocked down and you get eye poked. Like, we got to see it with Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Deleuze. If this was the case, if we couldn't go back, that fight wouldn't have restarted. Take a point. You already said it was one left, and then he does it the very next round 10 times worse and knocks him and starts elbowing him, lands all of the damage in that round. You're telling me you can't take a point then? That's what you're telling me. I just think that that's bullshit. Like, Gaethje's a cheater. He cheats in all of his fights. He always gets an eye poke down. Like, nut-shotted Pimblett as well. I know Pimblett nut-shotted him as well, but this is 3 fouls now. 3 fouls that you've done in this one fight, Gaethje. You should have got a point taken for one of them. And in my opinion, if the point gets taken for one of them and they judge it correctly, it should be a draw. But I'm not going to be the guy that's like, the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje should have been a draw. I'm just going to be the guy that's like, man, I hate you. I hate you, Mark Goddard. At least, maybe even if he took a point there, Paddy looks at it like, oh, I can really win this one. This is an easy win for me. Like, he's looking at it like, oh, I just got brutally knocked down and almost finished, but they took a point. I've got this in the bag. Like, he came back and won the next round anyway. Round 3, Pimblett round, laser jab. He was landing good leg kicks, good body kicks as well. He was catching Justin as he was ducking down. Justin was sort of going like this, and then Paddy would land the two after the initial jab, and it was like Paddy's looking really good. If he had the hope that he had an extra point in the bag, maybe he wins that fight. Maybe it's a closer fight in the last rounds. Round 4, Gaethje beats up on Paddy. Round 5, I actually think Paddy wins that round. He had big moments. I know that Gaethje landed some massive shots over the top on the chin of Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's chin is somehow made out of granite, or like his recovery is made out of granite, because there was moments where like he was fading back, especially in that 5th round, and Gaethje would throw like a full wind-up shot, almost be off his feet with how much of a wind-up it was, and it would spin Paddy's jaw. Paddy wouldn't even see it, and he would just like live through it, survive through it. And Paddy was taking some big heaters in that 5th round, but he was actually delivering his own. I thought he won the round. I thought he did more damage than Gaethje did. Even though Gaethje like visibly rocked him in the first like couple of minutes, Paddy started landing like big combinations. And one thing you cannot judge about Paddy is that he's got the heart of a champion. He's got a heart of a lion. And if he can fix his defense, which is actually terrible, like honestly, defense was abysmal from both guys. If he can fix that, he's actually going to be a very dangerous opponent for a lot of these guys, especially if he can get better wrestling as well. Because, as I was saying, Gaethje was doing pretty decent in the wrestling. He was just, every time, Paddy's just fading back with his hands literally at his waist, and Gaethje's always going to catch him there. And Paddy's backing up with his chin at the roof, and it's just like, man, you're going to get caught every time by guys throwing haymakers over the top. I will say, though, about the fight, both get slept by Ilya in 2 minutes. Just with how they enter into range. I don't even think either of them are a top 5 best lightweight in the world. I think Oliveira's better, Max is better, Arman's better, Ilya's better. And I could give you... Bro, I think Manuel Torres beats both guys. Like, you're going to look at that and be like, bro, Manuel Torres got slept by Ignacio Bahamondes. And you're right, he did get slept by Ignacio Bahamondes. And you're right, he can be chinny in moments. He's a finish or be finish fighter. He is cleaner than both of these guys on the feet. Watching Gaethje early, I was instantly saying, oh my god, Gaethje's moving around like a 45-year-old man. Oh my god, Gaethje looks like he's had a double knee replacement. It was terrible. He's moving forward and he looks like a geriatric old man. Like, genuinely, what has happened to Gaethje? I know it's just age and, like, damage over all the wars he's had. But he looks so slow out there, and it was one of the slowest, worst performances I've ever seen from Gaethje in his career. So, that version of Gaethje is going to be killed by Ilya, and I don't even want to see it. Let me know, though, what you thought of the fight. And let me talk about that as a fight. As a fight, it was fun as. Like, this was a great fight. It was damage back and forth, swings of momentum. It was just a perfect performance to watch. But again, not the top 5 lightweights in the world, and shouldn't be fighting for an interim belt, that's for sure. I don't even think they're main event worthy. Like, God, that was a fun fight. It was one of the most enjoyable fights I've ever seen in my life. And you can say that and be like, Harvey, why would you ever say that a fight that was one of the most enjoyable fights that you've ever seen shouldn't be the main event? Should a Mateusz Rebecki fight be the main event? No. It's a good fight, though. Really good fight. He has some of the best fights. I'm not going to take that away from him. One of the most fun fighters on the roster. Doesn't mean I want to see him in a main event. Same thing with these two. This would have been the perfect co-main event. I was talking with my friend about it. I was saying, if Pereira versus Olberg was on the card and this was a co-main event with no title on the line, 5-rounder still, perfect fight, and I'm raving about it every step of the way. But it almost sours the fight, knowing that they're fighting Ilya next, because they know neither stand even a chance. So let me know, do either of these guys have a shot against Ilya? Also, let me know what you think of the card as a whole, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.